share. Tasty bites and highlights together everywhere. Sports Bytes, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride. From fried chicken, slam dunks and spicy fries. Catch the play-by-play man on a plate of good times. Join us for the flavor, join us for the game. Every bite and replay, memories will frame. Sports Bytes, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride. Football and fried chicken, slam dunks and spicy fries. Catch the play-by-play man on a plate of good times. Join us for the flavor, join us for the game. Every bite and replay, memories will frame. Sports Bytes, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride.
Welcome to Sports Bytes. Welcome to Sports Bytes with your host, Chris Joseph. Are you a sports fanatic who loves the thrill of the game and the delicious food that accompanies it?
And then they had chicken fingers, exotic chicken fingers.
Join us as we dive into the world of sports and the delectable bites that make the experience even better. Whether you're in the stadium, tailgating, or watching from the comfort of your home, get ready to satisfy your sports cravings with Chris Joseph on Sports Bytes. Let's dig in.
What is up, everybody? What is up? Hope you guys are doing good. Welcome to this edition of Reaction Monday on Sports Bytes. I'm Chris Joseph. I'm your host. Hope you're ready for about an hour's worth of sports talk. I'm still sipping a little hottie toddy here. Got a little bourbon, got a little tea, a little honey, a little lemon. Not quite 100% recovered from the illness. But I'm here. We're going to battle through it, right? I got to get my NL money. That's what they say. But I'm here. But I think what's interesting is, now that we're deep into the college football season, there's a lot of craziness to get into. We're going to talk about the officiating. We're going to talk about the Georgia-Texas game, what happened there, a bad precedent set. We'll talk about the games that happened over the weekend. We're going to have a good time, all right? We're going to have a really good time talking some sports here. So, with that being said, for those that are joining in, thank you for joining in on this Monday. If you want to look right here, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching the live platforms, all the socials, go ahead, like, follow, subscribe, click the little alarm bell. That really helps me out. Go on your podcast, wherever you get podcasts. Give me a 5-star rating. Write a little review. Tell me what you think about the podcast. Follow on all the social media down here. On X, at Sports Bytes Pod 1. On TikTok, Sports Bytes Pod. YouTube, go ahead and subscribe there. It's going to help me out at Sports Bytes Podcast. And then you can follow the Sports Bytes Podcast on Instagram as well. But guys, I hope everybody's having a good day, and we're gonna dive right into it. Feel free to hop in the chat. Let me know what you're thinking about There's a lot to get into. I like to have this show be very interactive. I like to, converse with the people. Reminds me back when I was doing radio. Love to have a caller-driven show. But first thing I want to say, I don't understand, and I'm going to bring this play up. Dominic, what's up, buddy? You got to check out Dominic. Does a great job covering the ACC. But this play right here, you see it's an interception, UCF. And the young man's returning it all the way. He's like, yeah, I'm going to score. I'm going to score. Drops the ball. When did this become a thing? And I know it's every year we're seeing this now. Now, granted, Central Florida scored on the very next play. They made it very, it was on, but they got the call right. But again, I don't understand this with the today generation of football. And I know I sound, like get off my lawn kind of guy, but just run the damn ball into the end zone. What's dropping it at the goal line doing? I don't understand that. And then I didn't understand how nobody touched the ball. That's the only reason that the ball was brought to the one, because nobody made an immediate recovery. The ball's brought out to the one. Central Florida goes on to score. In that game, Iowa State comes back to win. But still, I don't understand. I don't understand. Help me understand why this has become a thing that people are dropping the balls now. Just tell me why. I don't get it. But I guess I'm too old, right? I almost had a little cough there. I'm trying to keep the cough button really close. That way we don't have to hit this. But interesting weekend of football, guys. Interesting weekend of football. And I thought one of the big things to take away from it, everybody's gettable, guys. Everybody is gettable. Started off Friday night. Oregon looked really good against Purdue. Oregon, new number one team in the country. I voted them number one. Still one of the better wins. A lot of people are going to say that Georgia has the best win over number one Texas. BYU continues their magical season. They won on Friday night, coming back to beat Oklahoma State, which I love that. Deshaun Jackson. I remember Deshaun Jackson starting it, but it's stupid. Just carrying to the end zone. I don't even mind dancing. Have fun. Do what you want. But just score the damn ball. If you go back, I remember in 2016, Ohio State came to Norman. Joe Mixon returned the kick. And from where I was sitting, I was like, man, he dropped the ball. But they didn't review it, so they were lucky there. But I don't understand this whole new thought process of dropping the ball, but I digress. A couple games we'll get into. I'm going to talk a little bit about Miami and Louisville, right? Miami and Louisville. Was really excited about this game, and it didn't disappoint, guys. If you watched it, it was in the early docket. I was getting to watch some of it. Of course, because my team looked absolutely like trash. We'll talk about that as well. But an onslaught of points, 52-45. I mean, there were so many highlights in this game. Cam Ward continues to just look awesome. 21-32, 319 yards, 4 touchdowns. But Tyler Shuck didn't disappoint either. 342 yards of his own and 4 touchdowns. So, I mean, it was an entertaining game. Miami survives Louisville in this comeback. And I think, for them now, you look at what Miami has left. And it's interesting with what Miami's going to have right now, how good they're going to be, right? Because if you look at the remaining schedule, you got Florida State, which you could say it's a rivalry game, but Florida State's a terrible football team. Then you got Duke. Duke is decent. At Georgia Tech, we'll see how Haynes King is doing by then. Wake Forest and Syracuse. So you might be looking at like a Miami Clemson, but hell, we can't even forget Pitt. Pitt's in the mix. And I know people in West Virginia are not happy about Pitt being in the mix, but the Miami Hurricanes win, and they made it look, it was convincing, 52-45. Excuse me, sorry, I had to get a little drink of the hottie toddy there. But again, loved it. Dominic says Miami versus Duke is one to watch. If those don't know, Dominic covers the ACC for us at the College Football Dogs. Dominic, I think you're right, man. Duke, when Elko left, I was concerned on how good Duke would be this year. I was kind of concerned that, what would they do? Now, I'm a huge fan of Malik Murphy. I know there's a lot of Texas fans out there. Malik Murphy looked like a creative player on Madden. I mean, if you wanted to design a prototypical football player, that's what it looked like, was Malik Murphy. Now, going into that right now, on the matchup predictor, Miami's got a 90.7% chance to win. That's crazy. That's crazy. But in this game here, the line was 4.5. Miami covered that. Cam Ward played well. Tyler Shuck played well. And kudos to the Hurricanes. The U's back. I mean, they're in contention. Now, before I get into it, I want to show you this. We talked about it on the Game Day show. How cool is this? The Illini honoring Red Grange. 100 years from the day of that game, he scored 6 touchdowns against Michigan. 6. So what they do? They go and have hand-painted helmets, which I love. I loved when the Naval Academy did it. The attention to detail, chef's kiss, man. For uniform nerds, I know there's some people that don't like alternates. That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Love what I saw there. But I tell you what, the Illini, they got a team on them. Now, some people say what they want because they lost to Penn State. Okay, they lost 21-7. Some turnovers, they bitch in the butt. But overall, the Illini is not the old. I mean, they're a good football team. Luke Altmaier's really played good football. They just beat Michigan 21-7, ran a beautiful fake punt, and they wore these beautiful kind of custom throwback uniforms to honor Red Grange. And I thought the attention to detail in the helmets was amazing. Was amazing in this. And so if you look at breaking down the game, Altmaier didn't have a great game, 9 of 18, 80 yards. How about the Michigan quarterback Tuttle throwing for 208? I think that's the most they've thrown for all year. But he threw for a touchdown, and he ran for another, Luke Altmaier did. And they win, 21-7. And that's what all you can ask now in college football. Just keep winning, right? You got to keep winning. And that's what Illinois did. Another game that I was intrigued about, Arkansas, LSU. LSU, I talked with my guy, Cody Slavinsky from the Golden Boot, and he's a big LSU fan, and helmets are the best I've ever seen. They're really good. I tell you what, if you want some really cool helmet information, I'm trying to get him to come back on, but Tom Helmer is the voice of the Eastern Michigan football team. He has a TikTok and a YouTube page called Hooked on Helmets. He does a fantastic job trying to break down. He'll break down and go like full nerd from the beginning of the first color on a helmet all the way to the different types of logos. He does an amazing job, pro and college. So if you're a football uniform nerd, you like stuff like that, go check him out. Tom Helmer, great guy. Trying to get him to come back on the show, talk a little bit. He did a special deal with Max Crosby, of course, of the Raiders, played with Eastern Michigan. And, Helmer, he's been around for a long time. He's done play-by-play on the TV for the Red Sox, for the Rockies. And, I got a chance to have him on my show last year. Great guy. Got to talk to his family. Amazing family. Trying to get him on before the end of this year. But, yeah, I agree. Helmets are the best I've ever seen. There's some great – and I can't wait to see the Army-Navy helmets. And with how good they're playing right now, whew, you're going to tempt me with a chance of possibly having back-to-back Army-Navy games? It's going to be real interesting, especially this weekend with Notre Dame and Navy squaring off. Now, stay tuned. We'll talk about that on Friday on our Football Friday show. I'd be very interested in that. Yeah, check him out, man. He is fantastic. And when I say he does a deep dive, pick a team. Pick any team. And he has the helmets. He has the history, the lineage. It's amazing. I joked with him. I was like, how'd you get your wife to sign off on this? Because he's got helmets everywhere. Like throwback Michigan, leather helmets with the wing on it. I mean, like he's got a ton of helmets. But it's really cool. But check him out. Tom Helmer, Hooked on Helmets. That's who you need to check out. Got to get some more of that hottie toddy. Cool the throat a little bit. That's why I like the cough button. But this game right here, LSU, Arkansas, I was kind of concerned. I didn't know what to expect from LSU, right? A lot riding on LSU. Garrett Nussmeier stepping up, making big plays. Last week, you get the walk-off win against Ole Miss. Emotional. Now you got the rivalry game. It's a trophy game. The battle for the Golden Boot. This brilliantly handcrafted gold replica of the natural state in Louisiana, and it looks like a boot, right? I love trophy games. I think they're awesome. The Red River rivalry, the Golden Hat, you got Paul Bunyan's axe. I mean, there's rivalry trophies all over, and I love it. And I think one of the most interesting ones, I think it's Stephen F. Austin and Northwestern State have the Chief Caddo trophy. It's like an 8-foot trophy. They kind of move around. But yeah, there's so many great, trophy games out there. I love that. But I didn't know what to expect from LSU. How would they respond? How would Arkansas respond after having knocked off Tennessee at home? You get a bye week. Reports about Taylor Green. You don't know if he's going to play. Injury. You don't know to write up. And I tell you what, LSU came out and just took it to him. Just took it right to him. Garrett Nussmeier, 23 of 34, had 233 yards. Green with 21 of 31 for 239 yards, a touchdown, an interception. But I'm going to tell you, one of my new favorite players is that man right there in the middle. If you're looking at the logos or at the screen, if you're watching, appreciate you watching. If you're listening, I have a graphic up of the LSU versus Arkansas game. And I put as my key players Whit Weeks. I love watching this kid play football. And it's really interesting. I mean, he led the team in tackles, 9 tackles, 1 sack, tackle for a loss. So, it's like I know what I'm talking about, right? Whit Weeks. Of course, he's so good. Excuse me. You hope that a lot of people who watch ball understand what they're talking about and don't, shy away from it. But I love what Whit Weeks is doing, especially now since, Harold Perkins Jr. is out with an injury. He's out for the year. And now I think, Whit Weeks has kind of taken over that role as the leader of the defense. And they played well. LSU right now is sitting there at 6-1. They're 3-0 in the conference. They got a game this weekend, which is going to be a big one, at A&M. LSU and the Gigawhoops, man. Woo! That's going to be a lot of fun. That'll be a lot of fun at that game. Then they got Alabama at Florida, Vanderbilt, who's no slouch, and then they closed the year with the dumpster fire that is the University of Oklahoma. And I'm going to get into Oklahoma. Don't worry. I'm going to get into them. But LSU, doing a great job. And like I said, you're looking at the SEC and the standings. People talk about how there was, going to be some separation and not by what they've done. A&M is 4-0. LSU is sitting there at 3-0. So Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri, Texas, Vanderbilt all have 1 loss. Texas and Vanderbilt play this weekend. I think that's an intriguing game. Missouri plays Alabama. Alabama's got 2 losses. But I'll say this, at least Oklahoma's not in last place. At least Oklahoma has won an SEC game. You can't say that if you're an Auburn fan or if you're a Mississippi State fan. Sorry. Didn't mean to rub salt in the wound. It is what it is. But we can talk about Alabama and Tennessee. Alabama and Tennessee, the 3rd Saturday in October. Sloppy football game. I know my man, TJ Chapman, he was happy. He's a Tennessee guy. The guys got anytime you can beat a rival, it's a lot of fun. considering if you're Tennessee and you haven't had that many wins against Alabama in the last 20 years. I think this is, the second one in 20 years, second one in 19 years that you've won. But now you got to start talking, and people are asking questions about Kalen DeBoer. They're asking questions about Alabama. Alabama still has a chance to make the playoff, guys. I know you don't like to hear it. They do. They have a chance to make the playoffs. Now, in this, if you're looking, the clip that I made, the little graphic, who are the key players? Jalen Milroe, Dylan Sampson. If you watch the game, who were the key players in that game? Jalen Milroe and Dylan Sampson. Sampson ran the ball 26 times, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns, tough running, one of the best in the SEC. Nico made some bad throws. Jalen made some bad throws. And have you seen the clip of the fourth down play that's going on, the quarterback sneak, where Ryan Williams and the other receiver do like the fadeaway Kobe jump shot as Jalen Milroe is spearing into the line? I don't know what that is. And again, there was another late penalty. I think it was on Malachi Moore, and it's a discipline. So there's a lot of people really picking apart the Kalen DeBoer coaching staff and what they're doing, thinking that Alabama is just not that disciplined. I think what's very interesting now is when you're talking about parity in college football, I think you're seeing it. While you have those guys, and I think, guys, tell me in the chat if I'm wrong. I think the dynamic that it creates, because if you're a really good player, you're already at a school, you're making NIL. If you're at an outlier school, if you're a Diego Pavia right now, you're playing at Vanderbilt, could you go somewhere else after this year? People are going to call you, tell you your dollar value, what you're worth. So it's parity. And then with depth. And the thing that you should tell people that made Alabama so strong, and I know I'm an Oklahoma guy trying to talk about Alabama. I live here, been here for almost 10 years now, and I'd like to think that I know ball. Alabama, what they did, what was so great, and I've told the story before, when you look at guys like Quinnen Williams, excuse me. When you look at guys like Quinnen Williams, who sat behind Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, they were convinced to trust the process. It's hard. I don't know if there's anyone that can do that now. No, none of these players want to wait and bide their time. We've already seen one Alabama player say, I'm not getting the snaps I need, I'm out. We don't like it. I know there's a lot of people that don't like it, but that's what college football is now. It is this. And that's what we have to really think about. I had to put that light on. It's baking my forehead. But Alabama is not as dominant because they don't have the depth as they used to, right? If you look at that Vanderbilt game, what'd they do? They kept the ball, ground down that defense. They didn't have enough time. Now, the offense made big plays, put that defense back out on the field. You don't have the defenses like you do anymore at Alabama. And I don't think that's anything about Nick Saban being there or not being there. But what Saban did a great job of was convincing young men. Look at that wide receiver room when you had, Ruggs, Judy, Devonta, all those guys. Quarterback room that had Tua, Jalen, Mack. I mean, they were loaded. You could convince them to stay and trust the process. You can't do that anymore. And I think you're seeing that across college football. Because Notre Dame and Navy, or Navy and the Army, they don't get NIL money. They don't have endorsements. Those young men have signed their lives to protect the country as soon as they're done playing football. They're not getting NIL. I wish they would, especially now. And I love that Blake Horvath and Bailey are getting, recognized by the Maxwell Award, being added to the midseason watch list, possible Heisman contenders. You got to be. If you can take Navy, I think they said this is the first time both are undefeated this late this season since 1926. That's crazy. Crazy. But this game here, if you watch the first half, Alabama should have been up by a lot. Turnovers, 2 missed field goals from Tennessee. If you're Josh Heupel, are you sending that kicker back out? Hell no, I'm not sending that kicker back out. Second half, they got it under control. Nico Iamaleava, 14 to 27, 194, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Milroe was 23 of 45, 239, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and the costly one at the end of the game. But it's almost like he's hyper-focused on Ryan Williams. And I've seen, I've heard, and I've talked to people here in Birmingham that are like, we've got more receivers than Ryan Williams. Sure, but if he's the only one that's getting open, you've got to be able to, hit who's open. You got to make the plays, right? Got to make the plays. Tennessee wins 24-17. Next up for the Volunteers, they take on Kentucky. Again, I don't know what Kentucky team to be ready for. They can surprise you. Alabama plays Missouri in Tuscaloosa. Hopefully it'll be the death blow for Eli Drinkwitz. But I'll say this. I am not a Missouri fan. But Brady Cook, my hat's off to you, sir. My hat's off to you. You left the game. You were taken to the hospital. So you left facilities. And you're like, hell no. Take me back. I've got to be there for my guys. They come back and beat Auburn with Brady Cook at the helm. Much respect, sir. I may think your coach is a dweeb, may not like him, but I got to respect that. Now, the big game of the night. Georgia, Texas. It's in Austin. A lot of attention on this game. Texas coming off the routing of Oklahoma at the Red River. Georgia having the one loss against Alabama, but struggled against Kentucky. What was going to happen? And from early on, almost as early as the Oklahoma game, this one was over early. And watch body language, watch the way people react. And now Carson Beck, again, a lot of people have him as like a first-round draft pick. I don't. I don't know if he can read the field. He's just kind of throwing in spaces. But 3 interceptions. One of those extremely controversial, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But Carson Beck didn't look good. 23 of 41, 175, 3 touchdowns. Etienne, 87 yards, 3 touchdowns. Weisner for the Longhorns, 52 yards on 15 carries. Quinn, 25 of 43, 211, 2 tugs and a fumble. Arch Manning came in. Arch Manning got knocked around. Quinn Ewers got knocked around, fumbled. That defensive line manhandled Texas's offensive line. And I was surprised at that. I really was. And I'm not a Texas supporter by any means, but I try to respect and talk what's good ball, right? And their offensive line looked terrible against the Georgia front. Georgia was able to do whatever they wanted to do. Confused Quinn, made him look bad. I mean, they run away from the game. I know Texas scored in the second half. It was 23-0 at half. Texas scores the 15, but at no point did I think they're getting back in the game. And I'm sorry for saying it. I know I got some people out there that are Texas fans. I apologize. I don't think they were into it. I don't. But always, from a game, you got to love Kirby Smart sound bites.
And these guys are so resilient.
You know how to get the best out of your players when you need it most.
These players get the best out of me. And I'm so proud of these guys because nobody believed. Nobody gave us a chance. Your whole network doubted us. Nobody believed us. And then they tried to rob us with calls in this place. And these guys are so resilient. You know what I mean? We talked about intent. What was our intent when we walked on the field? Our intent was not to take pictures, not to do all the superstar stuff. Our intent was to eat. Our intent was to come eat and be hungry. I'm not interested in all the bells and whistles. What I want is a team that fights their ass off, and they did tonight.
Kirby.
First off, playing the pitiful card for Georgia. Kirby, stop. Nobody believed in us. You're Georgia. Maybe it's not they didn't believe in you. They just didn't want you to win again. They don't want to see you win anymore. Because of the lack of institutional control at your university, what you're doing. Right? Nobody tried to take it from you. Your whole people, your whole station didn't believe in us. Whatever you got to use for motivation, fine. Now it brings up, he's talking about they try to steal the game. I need a sip of bourbon. In that, I officiated before. Now, I didn't get to Division I college football. I'm not going to sit here and try to lie about that. I helped out, did some JUCO. Kirby needs better writers. Now, Dom, I'm getting ready to play what he said in the press conference at the postgame, and I think it was right on point for this time. But this call that the officials make, interception, clear from Texas, chance to come down, and flag is thrown. Texas fans don't like it. You see the officials come together. They're talking about it. Next thing you know, pass interference. They come out. The head official, white hat, comes out. Pass interference on the defense. And you're going, what? Because the replay starts playing. Then all of a sudden you hear the chorus of boos rain down upon DKR. Didn't you see the one lone beer can looking like a water grenade flying through the air, hits the turf? Next thing you know, they're chucking bottles all over the place. All over the place. Which is dangerous. Because, if you don't got a good enough arm, if you can make it from there, you smack somebody down the front row, you hit a player, you hit a cheerleader, someone not paying attention, a cameraman. It's not safe. And I get it, you're mad. You can go back and watch the old Billy Tubbs thing when Oklahoma played Missouri. Said, guys, don't throw things on the court. I know the officiating's bad. That's very popular to see that. But the throwing stuff on the field, and that's why something is going to happen. There's going to be an incident. I don't want it to happen, but there's going to be an incident that somebody gets hurt, either running on the field or doing something like this. Now, what I didn't understand, and I spoke to my dad who has officiated in college, done some stuff in the NFL. I've had Ed Hockley on my show before. Love talking football. I love it from that official's perspective. Early on in the year, I came out and said, I can't defend officials anymore because there is just so many just bad calls. And I don't. Look at the South Carolina-Alabama game on the Nick Harbor catch. How did you call that incomplete when you're standing right there? You're right there. That's your job. But I think so many officials have become reliant on instant replay that they're not as focused as they should be. Oh, well, replay will get it right. Now, in this, from what I understand, and I agree, the optics of everything look terrible. Now, you can't review the play. In the end, I want them to get the call right. Did they get the call right? Yes. But what does it say? What do you see when you see a group of people mad and ravenous throwing stuff on the field and the play call was changed? Now, you can't review it, but they got together and talked about it. What I don't understand as somebody who officiated, you didn't break that huddle until you spoke to everybody and said, yes, that's pass interference. No, that's not what I have. Right is great, but I want them to be consistent. Well, they're consistently bad right now, Dom. And I hate saying it because I usually stick up for officials. Now, I don't think anybody's out there purposefully trying to screw games up. I hope not. Even in college, those guys are making a pretty good check on a Saturday to do a football game. I don't know where the breakdown's happening. but it's glaring across all of college football now. But this was Kirby Smart in the post-game press conference with what he had to say when asked about the call.
Can you take us through the reversal of the PI, what the official said to you?
Yeah, he just said the guy got it wrong. The guy called it on the wrong guy, which it took him a long time to realize that, you know. So it's one of those things that I don't know what I'm allowed to say and not say, so I won't comment because I want to respect the wishes of the SEC office. But I will say that now we've set a precedent that if you throw a bunch of stuff on the field and endanger athletes, that you got a chance to get your call reversed. And that's unfortunate because to me that's dangerous. That's not what we want. And that's not criticizing officials. That's what happened.
And, you know, I think he's right. And I've already seen people on the internet, and again, there's some moronic people on Twitter, social media, keyboard tough guys. But what's going to stop the next crowd? What's going to stop the next crowd from doing it? What's going to stop people on a call? I saw one Twitter post, or I think it was in an SEC Facebook post, that said something to the tune of Sankey and them have fined Texas. There's been a lot of fines in the SEC this year with the field stormings and now this $250,000 the University of Texas has fined, dropping the bucket for them. But what's going to stop them? They said this post, I think it was an SEC group page, said let's rebel against the SEC. First bad flag, everybody throws stuff on the field. And, you know, it's that mob mentality. Because one person did it, which party foul, you threw a beer can, bro. Finish your beer. But then everyone followed. But now because of it, and what Kirby said is you've set this precedence now that, again, the optics of it looked as if that is what happened. Now, I don't know. I was not in the huddle. I will tell you from my experience being an official, and I worked with some really, really good officials who were dedicated to the game and they wanted to get it right. Like, and I've told you before, I had an inadvertent whistle in the game and I felt horrible. Horrible. I don't know what these guys are feeling, but the optics of it don't look good when you get together, you see them get together. And a lot of them now have the little headphones you can talk to the side judge, back judge, field judge. Hey, you have DPI, OPI, what do you got? You communicate. You get it together. Then you make the announcement. They shouldn't have made the announcement until they were 100% sure. But then now you look even worse because of the crowd throwing the stuff on the field and you reversing the call. It's not good. It's not good. I hope nothing else bad happens, right? I hope nothing else bad happens because I think, unfortunately, you're going to see it. You're going to see it. More likely it's going to be in the SEC. Speaking of the SEC, everybody knows I'm an Oklahoma guy. Love my Sooners. Covered them for a long time. But what's going on right there, right now, it's horrible. This is basically the entire game in a nutshell. 4 plays.
In the early 2000s, his brother will be a Sooner next year.
First play of the game.
To throw on first down, pressured, and finds the other guy. It's intercepted by Nicky Nowari.
Picks it off.
Third interception of the season for the Gamecocks after an interception. Sanders.
They work down. Rocket Sanders. Boom. Touchdown. 7-0. 12:34 left in the first quarter. 12:34. Now 11:30. 1 minute later, Hawkins has the ball.
Play action again.
Scrambles, hits, fumble. Tonka truck on the loose. Scoop and score. 14-0. 14-0 already. 11:21 left in the first quarter. You haven't even played 4 minutes of game time. Now you're at 9:45.
Third down. Hit from behind. It is intercepted. free ball for Inouye. He's got his second pick of the game, and he's looking for a block. It's another South Carolina defensive score. A 66-yard pick six brings out the Bluebirds in Norman.
Yeah, the Boo Birds in Norman. And rightfully so. I've watched a lot of Oklahoma football. A lot. Stuck through the good, stuck through the bad. I remember the Blake eras. After Gibbs, after Switzer, Schnellenberger. I have never seen a game that 9 offensive snaps into the game was over. It was over. There was less than a little over 4 minutes of actual game time gone. And the game was over. Now, and I said, I take nothing away from South Carolina. 2 of the best edge rushers in all of college football, if not the best in college football. Those guys are going to play on Sunday, right? And Oklahoma, what the hell are you doing? I mean, what are you doing? If you're trying to, I don't understand the game plan. To where you sit here and you try to put a tight end who can't block to begin with on one of the best defensive ends in the country. Now, what's interesting about that fumble, let me go back and play this. I want you to watch, if you're watching on TV, watch the breakdown of this one. Let's get past to where he scores. Okay.
It finds him, and he's in. Touchdown, Rocket Sanders in South Carolina.
If you're watching on YouTube or any social media, they're going to be set up here. You've got Jake Roberts at the top of the formation, and I think there's Javonte Barnes in there.
Quick directing.
Jake can't handle the edge. Javonte Barnes goes out to help block, which leaves the linebacker that's responsible for Javonte Barnes to see, hey, I can go rush.
Play action again.
Boom.
And he's taken.
That led to this. Seth Luttrell fired. Happened last night. The Oklahoma offense coordinator, former fullback, legacy. His dad won national championships at Oklahoma. He won a national championship at Oklahoma. Came in and couldn't get it done. Statistically, one of the most abysmal offenses in the history of Oklahoma football. Probably in all of football as it stands. The offensive line is horrific. Bill Bedenbaugh, you put some guys in the NFL, but your assessment of players, Spencer Brown from Michigan State, couldn't block me. And I'm a fat 48-year-old drinking bourbon. He's terrible. Tarquin, he's your best lineman, and that's not even giving him a lot of credit. That's not saying a lot. But the unimaginative play design, the play call, and look, I'll say, everyone wants to go to the wide receivers. Yes, Oklahoma has 5 wide receivers out. But my thing is you missed. You missed, and that's why this NIL is crazy. You can't miss anymore. You've got to get guys that are in there. And this offensive line is so bad, I don't care if Oklahoma had their 5 receivers. I don't think it's any different. You can agree, you can disagree, that's fine. I love seeing stuff in the chat. Let me know what you think. Yes, missing your receivers hurts. But who the hell cares if you don't have time to throw the ball? Michael Hawkins was put in no-win situation. 9 snaps. 9 snaps, 3 turnovers. 2 of them housed. And Oklahoma's got to be careful. You don't want to lose both Jackson Arnold and Michael Hawkins to the transfer portal. You never know what's going to happen. But I think this had to be done. This had to be done. I think Seth had to be let go because of just how ineffective that offense was. And I've seen the memes. People have, the Thanos and, what do you want? Defense. What would you give for everything? And now Oklahoma's not playing offense. It's crazy. If this defense was with Baker at the Rose Bowl, they probably win. I don't know. They probably win. But if this defense plays with any of those guys that made the playoffs, it'd at least been interesting. But this was generationally bad. And I had to go back and look. I think I saw Tom Green, who I know him through my buddy here, Alex. His sister's married to Tom. Tom used to cover Auburn. Now he's out in Oklahoma covering the Sooners. And Tom put out there that 39% of Oklahoma drives have resulted in a 3-and-out or a turnover. That's bad. The running backs, you got to start looking at DeMarco Murray. Why can these guys not figure out what they're supposed to do? Where did you miss there? Then you see a Tyree Walker. When you heard about a confrontation between DeMarco and Tyree last year, now Tyree's doing really well at Wisconsin. Makes you wonder. But now, Joe John Finley. And I'll say this. As a fan, I don't like it. Because what the hell has Joe John Finley done since he's been there? You have the worst position group in the whole offense. Tight ends have done bupkis since you've been there. But now you're going to call plays. I don't know. Kevin Johns, he's going to be helping with coaching the quarterbacks. I mean, we'll see. It's really ugly. It's really, really ugly. And it's sad. And it's almost to the point now, and I've never been hey, fire this guy. Fire this, I've never been that guy. But if Oklahoma goes through here and the only game they win the remaining of the year is against Maine, and that's not even a given. Because if I'm Maine, I stack the box and say, beat me over the top. Can't do it. But if Oklahoma's only victory the remainder of the year is against Maine, you got to start looking at Brent Venables. Because now that's 2 of 3 years you weren't competitive on a big scale. And what I hate the most and what just it digs at me is being here in Birmingham and everybody saying, see, we told you Oklahoma wasn't SEC ready. Shit, man, right now they're not Big 12 ready. They're not AAC ready. If Oklahoma plays a Navy, an Army, Tulane damn near should have beat them. I don't think Oklahoma is ready for any kind of football this year. And that's why I said it's I don't like saying you got to fire people. But if the only game left that Oklahoma wins is against Maine and you don't make a bowl game, you have one victory in the SEC, you got to start looking at that. 2 of the 3 games against Texas, you weren't competitive in. You weren't competitive. Your biggest rival, you were not competitive. And that's sad. Sad, sad, sad. Here's my top 25. For those of you that know, I am in the FWAA Super 16, which means I get a vote that I get to submit in. Pick the top 16. I extend it out to a top 25 for everybody. My new number 1, the Oregon Ducks. Georgia at 2, Ohio State 3, Penn State 4. I'm still waiting for Penn State to falter. I think they're going to be like in Oklahoma, and I think they're going to make it to the playoffs and then get mushed. Because I'm not buying Penn State. I'm not buying Drew Aller. I'm not buying Penn State. Texas, Quinn's a little shaky. You got to get him back. Miami, Clemson, your possible ACC championship game. That could be a lot of fun to watch. Dabo and Cade Klubnik have really rebounded from that Georgia loss. LSU playing really good football. Really good football. You know they love to pour salt in the wound, beat A&M, beat Alabama, and have themselves kind of poised at potentially an SEC championship game. Iowa State tried to give the game away to Central Florida, but they held on. And now Iowa State, you look at them in the top 10, you got BYU right there. Some really good football left to play. Iowa State, doesn't have any real, doesn't have competition because Kansas is not that good this year. That's their next game. Cincinnati, Utah, and then Kansas State. that's going to be the decider. I think it's the Kansas State game, right? I think that's where you're going to decide who wins or is going to go really play for the Big 12. BYU already has the victory over Kansas State. Notre Dame at 11 takes on Navy. I have Navy at 22, a top 25 matchup of Notre Dame and Navy. How long has it been since that's happened? Crimson Tide at 13, A&M, the Giga Whoops at 14, Boise State 15, the Hoosiers. Why aren't they at 25? I got you, Terry. Hope you're doing all right, sir. Indiana, man, Signetti, I love what he's done up there. Kansas State, Purple Kansas playing really good. Ole Miss, that's where Oklahoma is this weekend at the Grove. Hotty Toddy, gosh almighty, I got my Hotty Toddy in my cup right here. Pitt playing well, the Fighting Illini, or the Illini now. I can't call them the Fighting Illini. Army, Navy, SMU, Vanderbilt in Missouri. We can settle for 26. Yeah. I know, after all the trash you were talking about Garbers, he goes out there and played well. Gets the win for you guys, man. Gets the dub. But that's my top 25. Again, Oregon, they got a couple games left. They got Michigan. Who knows what you're going to see. So this brings up, and I've got a question for you guys out there. Good, I motivated them. Absolutely. Maybe I need you to motivate the Oklahoma team because they need something. But here's my question before I get out of here. Which team is the biggest dumpster fire right now? Is it USC with their 4th loss? Is it Oklahoma with how inept they've already fired the offensive coordinator? Is it Michigan coming off a national championship? You're 4-3 on the year. You've given up 155. I don't think they gave up 155 points all year last year. They've already given up 155 points. Terry says USC definitely. Well, we know why you think that way. You're a UCLA guy. I don't mind because it's Lincoln Riley. And you remember his comments at the Big Ten Media Day? We're at the top of the Big Ten. Bro, you've lost 4 games already. You're down there with UCLA, Rutgers, and Purdue. You're not on top of anything. Man, if I had to pick, and again, who is the biggest dumpster fire right now? Michigan, USC, Oklahoma. I would probably go Michigan. Michigan's coming off a national championship. Expected to play for one this year. The Coliseum looks like a dumpster. Well, I'll tell you this too. It's never full. Like when Lincoln Riley got there and said, this is the mecca of college football, nobody's buying your sermon. Nobody was coming, buddy. Nobody was making the holy transition to head down to the Coliseum. There's always empty seats. Now, again, they're a blue blood. I won't take nothing from them. I understand who they lost in the draft, but you still had Edwards coming back. You had the defense coming back. That's where they've been hurt the most is the defense. They're not able to stop anybody like everyone thought they were. But coming off a national championship, the Connor Stallion stuff still swirling around. People thinking about, are you really that good of a football team or did you need somebody to steal signs for you? All 3 in a bad spot. Michigan, USC, Oklahoma, they're all in a bad spot. I don't know how much longer Lincoln's going to be at USC. I'd imagine that fan base is not happy. I'd imagine that athletic staff is not happy. The administration is not happy. I don't know what that's going to do for them, though. I don't know if Lincoln's going to be gone. But between Brent Venables, Sharon Moore, and Lincoln Riley, Lincoln may be the first to go. I don't know. I think Lincoln would make it to the end of the year. We can make the case for us. Yeah, Terry, that's a great point. That's a great point. And I'll say this too about that team. what I didn't like hearing people say was, well, this is the team that wanted to be, mentioned that should have been in the playoffs. Washington knew everyone they were going to lose. I don't think there was a lot of hope for them, especially with DeBoer being gone. I know Jed Fish was coming in, but Michigan was expected to be good. A lot of people, they believe in Oklahoma because of the logo, USC because of what Lincoln Riley tries to sell, that snake oil salesman, but it's not a good look. There's a lot of parity around football, guys. And if you want to win, go follow Coach Cignetti at Indiana. He'll tell you, Google me. I win. But, guys, I'm going to get out of here, leading you up to the Golden Boot tonight. They come on at 8:30. I'm going to go finish my hottie toddy, rest the voice a little bit. Hopefully, I'll be back on Friday night for Football Friday night, trying to line up some guests, so stay tuned. Keep an eye out on the social media, let you know who I'm going to get to come on. We're going to chop it up. We're going to talk some ball. We're going to have a good time, preview the games coming up. Then Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, do you think there's a possible fire going to happen in Bama? No, I don't think so. Kane Womack would be the one that people kind of looking at because of the defense. But again, it's hard because everyone wants to say, well, Nick Saban lost to ULM. Yeah, but Nick Saban didn't have a bunch of 5-stars like Kalen DeBoer has. Nick Saban was not coming off a playoff appearance like Kalen DeBoer's Alabama team was. So, I don't know. They're weird about their team out here, Terry. I heard more people bitching after the Vanderbilt game about being able to see Kalen DeBoer's nipples through his shirt than the actual football game. And I'm like, guys, you got to do better than that. I don't care what look at Belichick, the ripped up hoodie. No, I don't think there's going to be anything happen there this year. But guys, thank you so much. On Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, you can tune in. Taylor, Arinz, and myself will be hosting the College Football Dogs Game Day Show. We have a bunch of guests on talking about all the games. We're going to talk about, yes, majestic nipples, who knows. Kind of like Farmer Fran from The Water Boy, right? I didn't pay that much attention, but believe me, Terry, that's what a lot of people were talking about here in Birmingham, Alabama, was the fact that Kalen DeBoer had on a Walmart, Alabama shirt, and you could see his nipples through it. That's what they're bitching about. Guys, I love you. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me. Thank you for coming on and talking football. Again, be sure, follow on all the socials. Go to my YouTube page and follow on YouTube. Please, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out. Go on TikTok. Follow me there. I put up a lot of content, a lot of poll questions. Don't forget, follow the College Football Dogs. Also, you want to vote in the Maxwell Award? Just go see the MaxwellFootballClub.com, right? Become a member, participate, come to the gala. We're going to have a good time. But I love it. Everybody have a great Monday night. The Golden Boot comes up at 8:30. Enjoy your Monday Night Football, and we'll talk to you on Friday. Remember, guys, to always positively move forward.
Joining us on this delicious journey through the world of sports and food on Sports Bytes with your host, Chris Joseph. We hope you've enjoyed the game day stories and culinary adventures. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got any mouth-watering sports-related tales or favorite game day recipes, share them with us on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the game. It's about the bites that make it unforgettable. Stay hungry for more Sports Bytes.